For over 25 years, China has been the number one, number two, or number three growth market for most multinationals around the world. And consistently, every year, companies report that they have great opportunities in China that they're pursuing. The last 10 years has brought about a pretty significant change for foreign companies here in China. Certainly at the beginning of the Xi Jinping administration introduced a number of changes, regulatory issues and limits on markets and things like that. The last 3 or 4 years has been even greater change. You have a trade war, global pandemic, geopolitical stresses, all sorts of things have interrupted foreign business here in China. Consistently, in a number of surveys of foreign companies report that they feel less welcome here in China than they used to be in the past. And so a lot of our clients are asking us the question, listen, all these changes, all these things that are happening, is China still a good growth opportunity for us? And they're asking this at headquarters, they're asking this at the board level, they're asking this at every level of the company. And our answer to that is yes, but it's a qualified yes. So the way we qualify that yes, I always tell a story to my clients, and this happened to me a couple of years ago. A very good friend of mine, Chinese business owner, very successful business owner. I've known him for many, many years. And he always gives me a hard time about being a very optimistic American, naive even to a certain extent. And I asked him for an example of that one time. And he said, well, consider the phrase, thinking outside the box. He said, you Americans, you love to say this phrase, thinking outside the box. That's where innovation happens. That's where creativity happens, if you break outside the box. And I said, yeah, we very much believe that. He said, in China, that's dangerous, because in China, there is always a box. There is always a box. And to grow, to innovate, you need to think inside the box. And at first, I thought he was just giving me a hard time and, we were joking around. But the more I thought of it, and the more I thought of what he said in light of the past 10 years, the more brilliant I saw that point of view. That there are limitations. A lot of things have happened, and a lot of things are going to continue to happen that might feel like limitations on foreign business in China. But if we think of it differently, we think of those as being the sides of the box that we have to be aware of. That there is an empty space inside that box where we can grow and where we can innovate. That is what we need to focus on. Okay, nice story, great metaphor. What does it mean? Practically speaking, what does it mean? More and more, we are asked to help our clients with risk assessments of what's happening in China. Used to be years ago, everybody was looking for an opportunity assessment. Where can I sell? Where are my new customers going to come from? What new products can I get to market? Certainly they're still interested in that, but more and more they identify that there are risks that could prevent them from succeeding. What else is a risk assessment other than defining the sides of the box that could create some limitations for you here? And there's a number of categories that we look at. First of all, today we are looking at geopolitical risks. Now, this is something that used to be only the concern for headquarters and boards of directors. Business operators here, they might read the international news in the morning, see something interesting, they close the newspaper, they get on with running their factory, making widgets, whatever it is that they do. However, more and more, they are taking some of these geopolitical tensions with them when they go to the factory. We've had a number of clients, American companies, who are concerned that their customers, Chinese customers, may be prevented from purchasing their products because of geopolitical tensions out there. It hasn't happened yet. We haven't seen this to be widespread, but there certainly are conversations around this. This is a brand new limitation for companies here. And so more and more we're being asked to help them assess what those geopolitical risks are. What are the scenarios that could develop from that? All right. Again, what are the geopolitical sides of that box that could provide a limitation for you? And where is the creative space in the middle of that where, as an American company, as a foreign company of any kind, we can operate? Another limitation is on regulations. And certainly Chinese regulations have been a concern for everyone. Data and cybersecurity right now is a big issue for companies. Ironically, maybe one of the companies that got into the most trouble in data security was a Chinese company, Didi Tuxing, which is a ride-sharing company who did a IPO in the U.S. And before they did this IPO, they were required to do a data security check here, and they did not do it. They went around. They busted outside of the walls of the box. So it's not just foreign companies that have that problem. Didi and a Chinese company had that problem and was punished by the authorities. For that, what kind of company are you? Are you a consumer products company? Do you have a lot of information and data on customers? Do you have critical data where your equipment is being used in a Chinese factory and you have information about how that factory is running? Internet of Things, we've seen some of the authorities crack down on things like that. So all of these really creative, innovative ideas that we think are outside the box, in China, there is a box, and you need to identify where the sides of those walls are. So this thinking inside the box is more than just an interesting metaphor. We think this is absolutely critical to consider as you're looking at your growth opportunities in China. It is not a blue ocean or whatever other creative metaphor you want to have out there. It is not in busting outside the walls of that box. The past 10 years of this administration in China has been very carefully building up those walls. You even look at international regulations is happening as well. The U.S. is legislating some ways against China as well. More and more the sides of those boxes are growing. You really need to understand what the sides of the box are for you. You need to understand where you could get into trouble, and you need to identify that creative space in the middle where you can find those growth opportunities that are absolutely still here in China.